I thought it was a flat brim. When I pulled it out of the box, I was telling you, Uncle Kevin, I was like,
just gotta curve it.
I can't be wearing this. It's a flat brim.
We mentioned I'm a fat kid at heart, right? It's like the worst day in grade school was like shirts versus skins, and I'm like,
shoot.
See, I've scoped myself in the eyeball like 5 times. I don't know what the frick is wrong with me, but I just wondered if I wore that shirt, the hooded with the long sleeve or the short, if my chest would pop like yours, if it would bulge like that.
At least you're not wearing your hat like this, like
Snyder
does, and you can't even see his eyes.
Dude, like, it's all about covering the eyebrows.
See, everyone,
you been in that brim now?
Yeah.
You're more, Aaron. Let's face it. You're more like redneck brim, where it's curved so far that you can't like see.
I don't want to see anything coming from the left and right. I have ninja type abilities. So there's no reason to see over there.
There's a lot of contention between traditional and compound shooters. You know, nobody really ever switches in documents from compound to traditional that I know of. To tell the true story, you kind of have to tell the whole story. And I come around the corner, and there's elk everywhere, and I don't know which one I shot. And you couldn't make this scrap up if you tried. So I'm trying to do the ethical thing and not upgrade. And believe me, the thought crossed my mind. I'd be lying if I didn't, because there was like a 300-inch bull like 22 yards from me. And I'm like, you can't be kidding me. Which bull is my bull? Yeah, we're getting close to killing time. We're wounding time. Everybody pray for me.
Come on now.
Don't be the crippler.
Positive thoughts. All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowman Podcast, coming at you live from Elk Paradise Mountain, where Aaron and I, Aaron's sort of stormtrooped it, and
I'm wearing the cone of shame right now. For those of you who have seen Up.
Yeah.
Rough morning.
Rough morning.
It was cool. It was a really cool morning, but it was
set the stage for us, Aaron. How did it all unfold?
42 degrees, sleet, and Brian set up calling.
So slow morning. I filmed you in the tent this morning, putting your your hardy face paint on.
I know, right? And we, the reason why it was a slow morning is Brian walks extremely slow. And that was a poke. I mean,
yeah,
it's a climb to get up to tree line, and we haven't hunted up here. We thought, well, give it a whirl, see if the elk have been pushed up here or whatever. So we just set up just below tree line. Brian started calling, and it wasn't 30 seconds, I don't know, a minute. Well, we set up earlier, and the wind was horrible, so we moved.
Yeah, we moved further up the mountain, got to a nice spot where there was a few shooting lanes openings, and I could get tucked away in some trees, and maybe called 5 minutes, and I hear your bow go off.
Yeah, I mean, we actually met up from when he started calling. I asked him, because I'm deaf. I said, did you hear that bugle? He said, yeah. So I moved over, and actually the bull, there was many bulls around us, but a bull caught movement. But I don't think he knew what was going on, because he literally was just kind of circling back and forth. So I kind of crept down and moved into this opening. This all happened in a matter of short period of time. I moved up to the opening, and the bull was, standard 3.5-year-old 5x5, pretty much what I normally shoot. He's moving back and forth, and I thought, okay, just give it a second, see what he does, see if he gets closer. And he came closer, he got farther away. This was quick. He was really paying attention to Brian's bugles and calls going back and forth, and he got to a certain spot that I had kind of figured it was, close enough for me to shoot inside of 30 yards. And which it was 28 or 30, and I shot. I thought I hit it in the stomach when he spun.
And it was raining pretty good at the time. It was coming down.
Yeah, it was raining hard. I mean, my gear's soaking wet. We got it sprawled everywhere. And I'm not blaming the equipment by any means. Definitely the bow is on, but he spun hard, and I thought I hit him in the stomach because I could see my arrow break, and it looked like it came out back by the paunch. And I immediately was nervous because of the rain and the situation, thinking I hit it in the stomach, I immediately followed him up the hill. And I mean immediately, like I waited like 2 seconds.
I saw the air. I heard the arrow go off, and I looked through the trees, and literally like within 10 seconds I see you walking up to where the arrow where you shot.
Yeah, and Brian is definitely, he's more mellow than I am. I'm a lot more aggressive. And so for me, I'm worried like we're never going to find this bull if I don't watch it. And I mean, we're where the bull's last blood was. I followed it between 60 and 100 yards, and he was hurting. I was able to pass him running up maybe 70, 80 yards to his right. There was a big chunk of timber, and the terrain was perfect. And I'm like, I'm going to pass this bull, and I'm just going to shoot him broadside. Well, I passed him right down below us. And you couldn't make this scrap up if you tried. And I scoot through this willow swamp below us. Nobody can see it because the camera's facing us. And I come around the corner, and there's elk everywhere. And I don't know which one I shot. And I'm trying to...
How many bulls?
I think there was 18 total bulls, but that was from about where we are here to this drainage to my left, and it kind of flows down, and then there was a couple bulls down here. So I'm trying to do the ethical thing and not upgrade, right? I don't want to shoot another bull. And believe me, the thought crossed my mind. I'd be lying if I didn't, because there was like a 300-inch bull like 22 yards from me. And I'm like, you can't be kidding me. Which bull is my bull? And I can see one hunched over, and I'm like, is he feeding? Or is that my bull and he's sick? And I'm trying to assess, like, quickly as I'm crapping my pants and thinking, oh my Lord, there's 18 elk around me, bulls everywhere, they're bugling. There's more elk over here. And I'm like, I can't leave now. I'm just going to shoot that bull. It was kind of wavering, and I'm like, that's got to be my bull. And I didn't have 100% confirmation, but I was pretty close. So before you bash me, I think, I made the right decision.
Well, it turns out later when we go and check the blood that
it was him.
That's him. That's exactly where he was standing.
But the moment, I'm not kidding, that my fingers hit that string, the wind changed, and it was straight up chaos. There was crap running everywhere around me, and I'm trying to figure out which bull's mine, which way it's going. And I'm like, okay, this is bad. This is not good. You never want a wounded bull to gather up with a herd. So I went back down and got Brian to add fuel to the fire. As I was going down, I was super quiet. In fact, I got about 5 feet from Brian. He about crapped his pants when I walked up to him.
Yeah.
I was just creeping on my way down, thinking, okay, I don't want to blow any bulls out. There's like a 340 bull 80 yards from Brian coming right to him. And the wind switched and blew right to him. He blew out, and I'm like,
I have my iPhone up, and I'm like, I just heard a bull trample off. It's right at the 45-minute mark, which actually has been the case where right at 45 minutes, it seems, we consistently call in.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time we set up in the mornings and in the evenings, and we just put in the time with the right location, they come in right at 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this was different this morning. This bull was close to us. Obviously,
the first one came in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, he was right.
Although we had been calling for about 20 minutes earlier, about 150 yards further down the hill.
Yeah.
So he may have moved in,
a little bit,
but earlier than that. But they were bugling. I heard 3 bugles right off the bat.
Yeah, I heard a few more obviously up here, and I had one bugle right in my face, right down below the camera. But yeah, I wounded one, and we can't find it. And I'm trying to stay as positive as I can, because I'm not used to sucking. Not saying I suck, but I mean I suck. I'm not used to missing anything, especially at this point with the compound. I had probably 20 bulls within range this morning alone, mind you, plus a few other ones already that I haven't gotten shots at, and just a different world with the old struggle stick.
Yeah. What do you think is the hardest part so far with the struggle stick?
Really, like, keeping my mind that my shot and my execution is good, like mentally, because I missed that mule deer, and I kind of just chalked that up to a duck the string. So my confidence was fairly good when I shot at this one. My confidence now is swirling down the but I got up to that bull and I hit my anchor and, you know, trying to stay mindful, doing everything correctly, you know, pull through the shot. And that arrow went off, and when it first went off, I immediately thought, perfect shot. And then I see the bull moving, and that arrow moves so slow. I'm like, no. In my mind, everything's in slow motion. And I knew I hit it immediately. I'm like, I hit it. And the way it spun, its butt was to my left, the head was to its right. The way it spun, you know, it spun backwards, or it spun counterclockwise. That's why I thought I'd hit it in the stomach, but it actually looks like I hit it up in the front legs. And maybe when it spun, I must have, you know, caught that front half.
It's really odd because the arrow passed completely through the body. The feathers, everything is drenched, the fletchings, everything's covered in blood. And the arrow broke exactly in half.
Yeah.
So it's like, at what point did it break on its way? It had to have enough momentum to carry through, even though it snapped in half.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
and that's the thing too.
So it had to
is,
happen like, it had to go through and snap.
as it was moving.
Yep.
And so that's the thing, is like, did it just lunge down when I shot, and then when it hit, it started to spin backwards, and what I saw was just the arrow breaking in half and flipping, because I saw something back by the paunch. It 100% was not a stomach hit. I don't know where it hit.
There's absolutely no gut smell or any sign of a gut hit at all.
Yeah.
It looks like a muscle hit.
Yeah, it does. Looks
And
just like a muscle hit.
A lot of the blood is right on one of the front hoofs, like it's just running down the shoulder or the leg and down the leg. It's really frustrating because so far on this trip, you could have tagged out with a compound. I'm just being real.
And I'm not
Almost.
He's not saying this to make excuses by any means, but it does go along the story with the story of the trad struggle.
And I mean, maybe there's more to it, that over time, you know, it's just a learning curve, and you'll figure it out. But right now, there's just no doubt you could have tagged out 15 different times so far.
Yeah, this morning I for sure, that one bull was right at 300. I would say he was a good 6x6. He may have been a little over. He was 22, 23 yards from me. I mean, he was close. I had no idea I was there. When I snuck around that corner thinking I was going to shoot mine, I ran into the herd. And it's unique. It's definitely frustrating trying to keep motivated, to keep my head up. I mean, a lot of people don't even get a shot throughout the course of a year or a few years or hunt several years and don't kill an elk or get a shot. And I've had really good luck.
That's what I've said from the beginning is about the trad bow thing is it's hard enough for me to get it done with a compound, let alone add the element of the traditional bow. What I've got to figure out is, so far, it seems as though the animals have ducked the string.
Here's what Brian and I did, because this is mentally driving me crazy, is we came up here and I'm like, I'm going to shoot with the most horrible form, snap shooting I possibly can at 30 yards. And just kind of see, rip away, crap your pants, and didn't help because I hit the bush I was aiming at, and it really just depressed me even more. I mean, the shot felt good, and that's what we're wondering pretty much like throughout is are we, am I doing something wrong? Which I don't feel, well, on the third shot with the deer, I definitely did something wrong, but like with this elk this morning, it's a great shot, and is it getting out of the way? Is my bow too loud? Can it hear my feathers? Like, it was right at that 28, 30 yard mark. And the one thing I'm learning, if I had to do it again, is take a lesson from Brian here, is I would have waited longer. The bull, I doubt, was going to blow out. I probably would have waited for him to get his prance back and forth done where he was looking and get to a little bit.
This is when he was on his way in before you shot him.
Before I shot, I would have definitely, obviously shooting a little bit
Mic
with
down.
a mic down, shooting at a bull that has a little bit more alertness never has bothered me with the compound, and I think it's an issue that I need to address with the old struggle stick, because I need to wait for them to be not paying attention, looking through me to Brian, because they know, when they see
They're
that movement.
expecting something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, they're wound tight. And so the question is, you know, are they reacting to the, well, you already know they are, like, so that this is something I was commenting to you. Aron is about 50 yards in front of me when I'm making all these calls, right? And I'm with my mouth and I'm breaking branches and I'm doing my thing, right? So I'm not exactly quiet. And there's rain coming down pretty hard. And then
Sleet. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cold, and I'm doing my thing, and I hear, from 50 yards away, I hear, foam.
Yeah.
I heard your bow go off, and I was like, Aron got a shot. Now, I could hear a compound probably too, but it was loud.
Yeah.
It was loud, and I'm not sure if it's just the water on the string, or if it was just the echo from where you happened to take the shot, or what. But I heard it for sure. I mean, it was still kind of a muffled sound, like your stick bow makes that foam kind of sound.
Yeah.
It wasn't jarring or anything, but I definitely heard it from a distance.
Yeah. I just it was depressing because when it happens, that arrow goes that slow, but everything's happening fast, and then that arrow in flight is like time
You're
stops.
Like, get there fast, go arrow, go arrow.
I'm watching it, and I'm like, no, because I can see the elk reacting, and it is what it is. I mean, we're gonna stay after it. It's just I need to figure out.
What is shooting 30 yards, 25, 30 yards with a trad bow equivalent to a compound at 290 feet per second?
As far as
how long does it take to hit? Like if you're shooting 30 yards with the trad bow, is that equivalent to 50 yards with a compound?
For me, no.
I mean in time of arrow to impact.
Oh, I'd have to do the math, but I would guess. 50 to 60. 50 to 60 yards, and I'll have to do the math. Don't quote us on that, but my arrow right now is flying right at 180, and my compound is usually 288 to 295. And I would guess that the difference in 30 would be probably 50 yards the time to take to get there. And so, I mean,
so the amount of time it takes for a bull to move out of the way of a 50-yard shot with a compound is about the same for 25, 30 yards. 30 yards with a recurve, maybe.
I would guess, yeah. And we can do the math later on and figure it out, but it definitely...
Because at 50 yards, though, it might take a while to impact, but you're so far away that the sound of the bow doesn't seem to spook the game as badly as maybe a... But see, I mean, dude, it was raining. You'd think that all that noise would cover your, distract the bull. I don't know.
I definitely, this next go around, if we get one coming in, I need to make sure, if he's just walking in, that's completely different. If he's walking in looking, that's a lot different than like this bull this morning. He was at the doorstep looking. I mean, he was as far as he was going to go. Well, I thought anyway. He was 70, 80 yards from Brian. And he was giving that stare that, all right, where's it at? Where's the cow? Where one just walking in, he's not quite as alert, I don't think, as the one he's looking for something. I mean, and it was cool watching him. And right until the point I wounded it. That wasn't that cool.
Well, you got to wonder, though, when they're coming in like that, is it something where you need to get 20 and under?
I might have to when they're coming in like that. I mean, it's hard for me to, so far, I think I'm going to have to try to wait for if it was feeding, shoot it. But when he's like that alert, unless I'm brought, see, it's hard to explain this because you guys can't see, but Brian is almost directly behind me at this time. So the bull is almost looking through me to Brian, pretty close.
Yep.
But if I was broadside, like the other night when that bull was coming in, that's, in my opinion, from hunting with a compound, completely different. Because you're catching him from something he's not looking at. When he's broadside to you walking to Brian or walking to the caller, you're shooting him as he's looking straight forward. He's not looking 90 degrees left, where this morning he's looking straight at Brian and I'm shooting straight forward. And it's arguable. I could be full of crap and I'm just made the bad shot. I'll be interested to see what some of my trad buddies say that have killed a bunch of stuff, but they certainly seem to move a good bit. And I'm gonna screw around with my feathers. I had a guy, guys have been super supportive. While we had battery life, guys sent me a bunch of messages about, hey, try parabolic feathers, and hey, if it's stuck in the string under 20, it can hear your bow. If it's over 20, it's probably hearing the feathers, that kind of stuff. That's just crap I don't know. Where with a compound, I know. With a stick bow, I just don't. And it's a learning experience. But trying to stay on the brighter side of things, we've only been hunting 5.5 days, and we have been into elk a lot. And it's the worst part of season as far as calling goes. And Brian's still calling them in.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty cool. I think I'm not too discouraged. You know, I expect it to be there to be a learning curve, and it's really fun. I mean, there's no question you're out here shooting that bow at all kinds of stuff, and the stump shooting's fun.
Yeah,
had some grouse this morning, and all that stuff is. You can still do it with a compound, but not as effectively or easily, it seems, as with a stick bow. And there's definitely something to this trad life thing, but I gotta admit, you know, it's wearing me down to keep getting these opportunities. And then
I mean, it would drive me crazy if I was on your end, for sure. Not that you've given me crap or anything.
No.
I mean, you've been super cool, but considering I can kill pretty much anything within 80 to 100 yards with a compound, and I can't seem to hit 30 yards and in with the stick bow, I'm like, dang. And I mean, I practice so freaking much. I practice every day over and over and over, and it's like, dang, what has happened?
Well, and that's the thing too, is we're walking around this mountain and you're like, see that, and you hit it, and you see that and you hit it. Anywhere from 20 yards to 50 yards, and especially when you range find it, you're like dead on. So it's kind of depressing. There's kind of a mystery, you know, like either you're choking bad, but even when you choke, you still shoot fairly well.
We were trying to mimic the choke earlier, like trying to be realistic to life. Like I'm like
gripping the bow, and
I did everything
plucking the string
bad I possibly could this morning. After this, just say, Brian, I don't know. I don't think I'm making a bad shot, but let's say I am. Let's shoot this. I could just reef it back, you know, moving all over, let it go, and I still hit the bush at 30 yards. And I didn't even range it, you know, until after I shot. And I'm like, okay, this sucks, you know. And it's a combination, but for 5-6 days of hunting, I guess I shouldn't complain. There's guys I know that have hunted a lot longer that haven't gotten an elk, but I will say I have to apologize to Luke Johnson, because this may be just my karma for giving him crap. The hunting god may be looking down on me and saying, Snyder, this is what you deserve for making fun of Luke. And I love Luke to death, but I gave him crap about, dude, how come you haven't killed an elk yet? And now, like 6 days, I'm thinking, wow, this is way more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
Well, one thing that I will say, and remember, like in South's video, he missed 4 times, right? In one hunt. One hunt. So
the trad life may be the sad life on certain days, certain weeks.
Yeah, that's a lot of misses, you know. So I think it comes with the territory.
The big question is, does this mentally get to me and then I don't shoot a trad bow forever? Or do I stick with it and just suck it up, buttercup, and keep on hunting and try and kill something? I mean, right now, I'm not too down. I was earlier today, but I talked to Lisa at work, I told her I missed, and she told her I needed a hug. Lisa's like my older sister. She's super cool, and I haven't got a chance to talk to Jody, but she texted me the little emoji prayer hands. She's not used to me, this is not bragging, but she's used to me leaving for a 10-day hunt, calling on the first or second day and saying, honey, I'm on my way home. Do you want to go to dinner tonight? We got one. This hunt has been, we were close. I'm not coming home. Another day, dear. Maybe Saturday now. Just wounded one. She doesn't even know what to say. She's like, just keep your head up. You're doing great. And now my wife's super supportive. Well, and she's not used to that.
One thing that I was going to say is I've been watching you now that we're hunting together. And one thing that we're very different in that Aron is really aggressive.
Yeah.
And I've hunted with Anthony for years, and my buddy Anthony is a lot like you, like super aggressive. You guys are like, you're moving in fast and you're moving in hot and you're ready to shoot the moment that you get an opportunity. Like you don't.
Oh, this morning was a stretch for me watching that thing for a minute. Like it was. I mean, and that takes a lot for me to, when I know I can hit something, which I didn't, but when I thought I knew I could hit something, I'm jerking the trigger. I'm not supposed to say the
right
anymore. Katie yelled at me. So I'm going to shoot. And so this morning I'm like, I'll just kill it. I mean, I looked at it for a minute. I'm like, you know what? It's a 5-point. It's going to die. I'm going to shoot.
Yeah.
Normally, when I say those words, it does die. But what I should have said is, I'm going to wound now, because it was just like, what the heck is going on here? And it's we were talking about this as far as being aggressive, what's right, what's wrong, and I think you can argue both ways. There's certain times 100% I'm wrong, like I'm too aggressive, and there's other times too complacent. You can look back like, I should have
been more aggressive. Yeah.
I mean, and that was the big thing this morning. It's not like Brian and I are arguing about this, but like, should I have followed the bull? And the moment I shot, I knew it was not a fatal. It was not. I can't say I knew. I was more than certain it was not going to die quickly. I didn't see blood coming out of the lungs. I wasn't sure where I hit. I thought it was a stomach shot, and it was raining and sleeting, and I'm like, and there were so many tracks to follow. I'm like, okay, I need to follow this bull until it beds down.
Which was an aggressive move, rather than let him just kind of go off and then come and find him later.
Yep.
But that seemed to pay off in huge dividends, because you followed him about 100 yards, where I was like, man, if you didn't follow him, there was no way to track him.
No, he didn't bleed. And what was crazy, well, it's more than that to here from where we were.
Yeah.
It's 285 yards. No, it was 185 yards. I have to look at the GPS. It was a ways that I followed him. What I didn't expect, what I thought, and I'm watching him, and he never looked back at me. So I'm thinking, he's just doing the death walk, and he's going to go bed up. I'm going to mark that. I'm going to go back and get Brian.
Yeah.
Well, it got to a point down here, I'm like, you know what? I can shoot him, and I can run faster than this elk is traveling. And I ran up this hill to our left, and I came across the swamp, and I'm like, oh, you're going to die. I'm going to get a second shot.
Heading him off, basically. You're heading him off and getting in front of him.
And I did, except for there was a lot of buddies, right? I messed with the whole taco stand. Like, the whole freaking bunch was right there, and I'm like, you've got to be me. I'm thinking, and it's literally right behind the camera. I'm behind this one tree, and I'm peeking around, and I'm like, no way. 18 or ish bulls, and I'm looking around like, which bull is my bull? And they're close, like and I'm thinking, okay, I can't see. And that's another thing we didn't talk about earlier, Brian and I personally, like that bull, I didn't see any marks on his stomach when he was hiding behind the tree, the one I did hit. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, which one? And
the shot had to be forward.
Yeah, it had to be forward. And I'm crapping my pants a little bit, because now I'm thinking, okay, I got 36 eyes, 36 eyeballs. Oh man, this is going to be interesting. And I don't have my rangefinder with me, which within 30 is okay, but I wanted to make sure in the second shot get a clean hit on this bull. And the wind changed and the earth erupted, and I'm like,
see, and that's where in hindsight's 2020, it's like, well, getting aggressive to get that second shot in him could have paid off huge.
Yeah.
Had you got the shot.
Yeah.
Right. But also being conservative and saying, you know what, I'm gonna back out right now, because he's slowly walking, and I know what general direction he's probably gonna bed, or just slowly follow him.
Yep.
Watch him bed, and then back out as fast as you can. That could have paid off better.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it could have. And the other big issue was the point where I was at. I could not back up. Well.
Yeah. Once you ran ahead and cut him off,
it was hard to back out, because I had all those elk around.
Yeah. It was like, I saw where you peeked through. You walked me through it, and I'm like, oh dude, it's like you got one lone tree and all these eyes, and it's like, how did you even get in that position in the first place? But now that you're in it, it's like, you can't risk moving out.
Well, you're taught, how many people can walk into 18 bulls within 40, probably 50 yards and in? And yeah, now I'm like, okay, there's no backing out now. I'm in it to win it.
And I think the weather helped with that too, because it was
super quiet.
Well, but it was sleeting a little bit earlier, the ground was soft and they're kind of huddled up.
What's crazy is there wasn't one cow with these bulls. They were all by themselves, and one bull was a good bull. But either way,
you're still talking about 30 bulls or so.
Yeah, from where I was at, I could see bulls all over in front of me. It's just those 18 or 16 or 20. It was several bulls were within 50 yards of me. Up above us and to the right, there was more bulls and some cows. And then there was bulls bugling to our right as we faced the camera. And then there was bulls coming into you below where I was at and to the left. So there's a lot of elk in here this morning. And I didn't kill one of them.
I think I did a little video about that.
Probably.
Something about you got to suck pretty bad to not kill a bull after this morning's.
Oh, see, I could have upgraded. I could have definitely killed another one. That is not a good thing to do. Although, believe me, the thought crossed my mind as I walked into all those elk, and I just didn't want to do not like the holier than thou thing, because I am no saint, but I didn't want to do I'll just shoot whichever one and piss on it. Doesn't really matter. No one's going to know. I really wanted to shoot the bull I'd hit, obviously. So that was another thing that I hesitated way longer than I probably should have, worrying about which bull was the one I actually hit. That's generally not a problem. How often can you say, well, my bull walked into all these other ones and I didn't know which one to shoot at? So it's a good problem to have.
It looked like he stood there a while because there's a pile of blood. But after they moved off, there's not a drop of blood anywhere.
And we looked a long time.
6 hours.
We walked all over the place, and I even
searched it.
If he died, he didn't die anywhere close to here. I guess to me, he went uphill the entire way too. So that's another thing, and he's probably all right.
Well, and it looks again like because of where the blood's running down the front leg.
Yeah,
you hit him somewhere forward.
Yep.
Which would also indicate why the arrow snapped in half.
Oh yeah, because the muscle's moving when he spun.
Shoulder after it penetrated, but just might not hit something serious.
Yeah, not serious enough. So we're gonna get after it again tonight and hopefully kill one. Good Lord willing. It has been an adventure, but we've gotten tons of comments on this, good and bad, which obviously I'm personally ready for because we are throwing it out there. But the good thing Brian and I wanted to do with this was, there's a lot of contention between traditional and compound shooters, I would say. And, nobody really ever switches in documents from compound to traditional that I know of. So you kind of...
At least not as open...
Yeah, not openly.
With as high profile as you've been able to do it.
Well, and that's the thing. To tell the true story, you kind of have to tell the whole story. And as much as it sucks and makes me look like an idiot, we kind of need to tell the whole thing. And I think it's important for people to know, one, that everybody misses, whether it's with a compound or a traditional bow. And then two, if you're gonna, I don't think anybody practiced more than me. If you're gonna get a stick bow, you better shoot a lot and know your effective shooting range, because 30 yards and into me is well within my effective range. But that elk moved, and so tonight I'm shooting for 10 feet.
Well, and that mule deer was the same thing. Like, that mule deer ducked the string.
Yeah.
Same thing, similar distances, and that was real quiet over there, like dead silence.
That was like deathly silent. Like you couldn't. It was literally like I heard crickets talking back and forth to each other. Yeah. Quiet. This morning I had a little bit of noise though.
But still similar. Like, it's harder to duck the string when it's a 10-yard shot, 15-yard shot, 20-yard shot, right? It's like,
and I can get closer. It's all what we were just talking about, patience. I'm not worried about. I can get closer.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, that's the new strategy is closer. Which you got to admit, like the trad. This you just said earlier today. You're like,
if I picked up a compound, I would be way more lethal than I was even in 7 months, 6 months. Just because you literally, with the stick bow, it makes you like, okay, I'm going to have to wait. I'm going to have to be patient. I'm going to have to just sit here until they come in front of me or they move to where I can get into position to shoot them. Where with a compound, I'd just be like, oh, I'll just shoot them from here, which normally pays off, but not that doesn't always work, and it's not the best thing to do. Where now, I mean, I can get in super close with the compound, and I mean, there'll be hate from both ends on this or whatever, because we're humans and people like to talk, but I don't mind talking about shooting far with the compound. I was very successful. I shot close stuff too and far away, but I can tell you it will make me a much better hunter if I ever shot a compound again, because I just have to be flat out more patient.
Well, yeah, and I've been watching you just as you've hunted with the trad bow. You made the switch. I was with you with the bear hunt. I've been with you here, and every day I see you improve stalking skills, exercise way more patience.
Yeah.
Slow. When we first got to BC, I would tease you about it. It's not like you were running toward the bear, but you're aggressive, dude. You're like,
well, and I can
marching in, man.
And I don't breathe heavy, right?
No.
So a lot of guys, not a bragging thing again, would not be able to run up the mountain at 11.5 and pass the elk that was wounded, but I can, and I don't breathe hard doing it for the most part. But that doesn't necessarily mean I always should. And I mean, as far as like stalking skills, I could always stalk. I just didn't need to always stalk. That's the big difference. Is now it's like, oh, I have to go into super slow motion, where before I'd be like, oh, I'll just shoot you from here, because I didn't have to do that.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that, when it's a decision. Like, you choose to be sneakier, or you choose just not to care.
Yep.
And right now, you're kind of forced to.
Yep.
Like, I have to.
Well, and Brian's brought up a few good points. I can be super quiet when I need to be, but a lot of times I just walk at this kind of average, pace. And Brian's brought up like, well, that does create some jump shots, and I'm thinking, yeah, they stand up like 60 and I shoot them. And it's worked, right? I mean, where now, I mean, I have to crank her down to like, granny low with 511 gears, right? Like,
which is good, because I have hyperventilating up here.
Yeah, and I mean, with whatever the case, like when I've had to stalk mule deer in the high country, I've been pretty patient and been pretty successful. But even now, I know, like, okay, I definitely could have got a lot slower than I had been before, but when you only have to get 40 or 50 yards, now I have to get half of that distance. You do have to make such smaller incremental movements. It's insane. I mean, once you pick up the noises, stuff rubbing together, things I never even thought about before are first world problems. Like, okay, I can't walk with my legs together because my pants make noise. Things like that, or whatever the case may be. So,
yeah, I mean, South, you watch him and he gets really close.
Yeah.
You watch some of the, and I suspect that most of the trad shooters out there that are really successful, they are exceptional in that last, closing a distance between 30 and 20 yards.
Well, last night we had 4 cows, 2 cows, 2 calves come, and
that was fun.
It was cool, and I got in the middle of the field, and I crouched down as low as I could. I can tell you the difference there is if I had a compound in my hand, I would have just killed them. I mean, from right where I was at. And not to keep bringing this up, but the difference from where I was at to those was, 64 yards.
Yep.
So they were 94, and I closed the distance because I was hoping if a bull came out, I'd have a shot. But anyway, I got to 64, and I ranged them, and
they were dead.
I'm sitting there thinking they have to close a minimum of 30 more yards before I have a shot. And they didn't. But with a compound, that's what I'm talking about. If I was going to try and sneak on those with the stick bow to get closer, I would have had to have low crawled 24 yards. I ranged all this.
Yeah.
Because if a bull came out, I was ready to do it. Low crawl 24 yards, come down 10 yards around this bush, acquire the targets, because I would lose complete visibility of these animals during that entire time to make sure they're still there. Make sure the bull hadn't come in while I'm kissing the dirt, crawling in. None of those things are an issue. with a compound in your hand. And the only reason why we're talking about this is it kind of goes along with whole trad life and me swapping is you have to be successful trad hunters. Obviously have some they've got some sick skills when it comes to stalking specifically, because where my hunt stopped before, it's just getting started with the old stick bow. That's how it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's wrap this up, dude. I'm ready to.
Yeah, we're getting close to killing time. We're wounding time. Everybody pray for me.
Come on now.
Don't be the crippler.
Positive thoughts.
I know, right? I'm just going to have to wait for him to get close tonight.
Yeah, we'll call him in right into the lap.
Stab him. All right. Yeah. So there you have it.
All right, folks. Stay gritty.
Stay gritty.
Okay, gritty friends. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher. We love reading your reviews. And connect with us on social media if you're on there. Look us up on Facebook and Instagram, and take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can receive notifications when we upload new videos. We've got a sweet deal with Mountain Ops. You get 20% off on all Mountain Ops supplements, combo packs, and apparel when you type in the word gritty at checkout. If you're a hardcore elk hunter, or you want to be, go to the Elk 101 website online and check them out. Our friend Corey Jacobson is killing it with some of the best elk hunting information and entertainment on the web. Alright friends, let me leave you with one other quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It behooves every man to remember that the work of the critic is of altogether secondary importance, and that, in the end, progress is accomplished by the man who does things." We all have a choice. We can be people who do things, or people who criticize the work of others. It's pretty simple, really. Get out there and do your thing. Good luck on your hunts, and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowman.
Gritty Bowman.